Situated on the banks of the Mississippi, the city of St. Louis was officially founded in 1764. 262 years later, it serves as the beautiful backdrop for this Western Conference clash in match week 4 between LAFC and St. Louis CITY2. Welcome inside Energizer Park alongside our broadcast team. I'm Jake Griffith. Glad to have you alongside us. New year, same St. Louis CITY2. CITY2, they have been the class of MLS Next Pro these last few seasons, and they look very much so the part of another championship contending team. They've rattled off 3 consecutive victories to open the 2026 campaign under the direction of David Critchley once more, and they come in off the heels of a victory on the road, come from behind effort against Ventura County FC, one that Critchley and his coaching staff said really tested the mettle of this St. Louis team. As for LAFC, they're still in search of their first win in 2026, and first-year manager Fabian Sandoval, he said early season struggles can be attributed to just putting some of these building blocks together. New face on the touchline, parts in and out of the first-team environment for LAFC, and they're trying to get on track against this St. Louis City SC starting 11 under David Critchley, going with a 3-4-3. 8 personnel changes across the first 11 on the pitch from match week 3 for CITY2. Stars are out for St. Louis. Take your pick. It's a pick your poison situation if you're LAFC, but keep an eye on Mekhi Joyner. Back in the lineup, second MLS Next Pro appearance of 2026. He'll start there on that right-hand side next to his former City teammate and City SC first-teamer, Brendan McSorley. Joyner already a brace this season. Last time City fans saw him in this venue, he was putting 2 past Minnesota United 2. As for LAFC 2 and first-year manager Fabian Sandoval going with a 4-3-3. Just 1 personnel change due to the red card shown to Gavin Zambrano back in match week 3. Matt Evans, number 70, on the right side of that midfield, will slot in, and Evans is a dynamic, dangerous player. The 19-year-old out of California, the homegrown signing for this LAFC organization, already 2 goal contributions in just 1 appearance in 2026, trying to breathe some life into this LAFC attack, but also, more importantly, anchor the defensive side of the ball today for Los Angeles Football Club. 8 goals conceded so far in just 3 matches, including 2 against Real Monarchs in the second half of that 2-2 draw back in match week 3 for LAFC 2. As we're all set to go here inside Energizer Park, the whistle sounds and we are underway. It's LAFC in the all-white, St. Louis in the all-navy. Mohamed Hassan is our center referee this afternoon, and he sounds the whistle for the first time. St. Louis entering on the heels of that 3-2 win against Ventura County FC on the road, an area and a venue that they have traditionally had some struggles in. They went down a goal twice in that contest as Ben Lunt, City SC first-teamer, getting the start in net today. First MLS Next Pro appearance for Lunt since the 2024 season. David Critchley earlier this week in reflecting on that win against VCFC. He said around the 70th minute mark, it was one of the most entertaining games that St. Louis CITY2 have played since Critchley took over as the manager at the start of the 2025 season. They'll work it ahead, CITY2 will, to Mekhi Joyner, and now a whistle from Hassan. LAFC 2. They're just trying to get off the schneid in 2026 as there's a give back here. McSorley pouncing on it. Off to the races. It's McSorley. Scally with the stop and the follow-up. Deflected away and cleared. A flurry of stops for LAFC after a frantic moment. And this just a poor giveaway at the back by LAFC 2. McSorley stonewalled by the young star Ethan Scally. And Zhong Sangbin can't finish up. Ultimately erased with the foul. 2 prime opportunities for CITY2 early. And now here they come again, threaded ahead. It's Riley Lynch seeking McSorley. Did take a deflection out, and St. Louis will earn their first corner of this afternoon. David Critchley, across the course of the last 2 seasons, he has emphasized being a dominant set-piece team. Coming into this contest, St. Louis just the 21st ranked team in total corners earned in MLS Next Pro so far this season. But you go back to last year, you look at their set-piece production, 6 corner goals for, right across the course of 2 managers after David Critchley moving up in an interim role for St. Louis City SC at the MLS ranks. Joyner swings this in, promptly headed away by the black and gold, rather. Here's Riley Lynch again over on that right-hand side, trying to step in and could not. The real work beginning here, though, for LAFC, who have been back on their heels defending since the opening whistle. This is about as top of a lineup as you could ask for Critchley and company, as they'll steer it back to Fallou Fall, the native of Senegal. Another City SC first teamer getting some valuable minutes today in MLS Next Pro. Fall just a bit out of position there. Not on the same page with the teammate, and a quick throw back in from LAFC 2, courtesy of Travis Babineau. Babineau, one of the new faces in this team this year for LAFC 2. Newness, a big theme this year for the black and gold. It's St. Louis City 2 on the move once more, trying to force their way inside, and we're stymied once again. And now there's a whistle as Mbake Fall will draw a foul. Biggest emphasis in training these last few weeks for LAFC 2, and that man there on the left side of your screen, Fabian Sandoval, wanting to be more of a possession-oriented team. He felt like they turned a corner there against Real Monarchs. I'd say it was a tough blow to concede the late equalizer and ultimately drop that extra point in the penalty shootout. But he does feel like they are slowly but surely putting things together, as Amir Ponciano will give it up. Here's Sebastian Nava. Carrying it forward now is LAFC 2. That's a good ball out wide. Tommy Mahalik able to track that one down and turn it back to Matt Evans. Evans shuffling. Can't shake free of the captain, Jack Wagner. Giving up now, it's Babineau. Stepping into this one and whistled rather wide of that far stick. It was Machuca who threaded it back inside, and Sebastian Nava, plenty of room there at the top of the 18. You saw the reaction at the end. Well hit from the 23-year-old native of Los Angeles. Now LAFC content to shift some numbers high. Sandoval did say that tactically, things aren't really going to change much compared to how LAFC 2 looked under Junior Gonzalez, former LAFC 2 manager who departed in the offseason. They do want to be that aggressive pressing team, and the press almost coming up with a turnover. Words like energy and intensity come to mind when you think of LAFC. Here's Miguel Perez, first MLS Next Pro appearance of 2026 for Perez. As Jong Saint-Ben was looking for a handball. There is a player down for St. Louis City 2, and that will draw a whistle from Mohamed Hassan. It was Jack Wagner who was slow to get up, and now St. Louis will have a free kick. Less than 10 minutes in, they've done a solid job of creating some dangerous moments for LAFC 2. Swung in, it'll take a hop into the gloves of Ethan Scally, the 17-year-old California native, but starring for the Japanese youth national team, making his third consecutive start. They're very high on Ethan Scally, the LAFC academy man, as LA will turn it over in the midfield. Called up to the Japan U20 national team. Scally was for the U20 World Cup back in 2025, and now we have a yellow card, first of the afternoon from Mohamed Hassan. The yellow shown officially to Miguel Perez of St. Louis City 2. There's play back underway, and here is Perez now, battling with Nava. Muscled off the ball, and now turned upfield here by LAFC. Mahalik will run it down. Still Tommy Mahalik, the former Indiana Hoosier, heading to the end line, and ultimately Ben Lunt will pick that one up. Barclay with the give up, now turned over at the back by St. Louis, quickly canceled out by Falou Fall. And now Makai Joyner turning on the Jets here. Options around for Joyner. Trying to work it back over wide, and Scally has to just clear that one away. We have received a correction down from the official on the field. That yellow card, more on that in a moment. Here's McSorley, parried away and stopped by Ethan Scally. The yellow officially handed out to Charlie Kosakoff of LAFC 2. So Miguel Perez, breathe a little sigh of relief. He is not carrying the yellow. A whistle here, and St. Louis will have another free kick. Mohamed Hassan, before St. Louis could move with it, and they have wanted to move quickly. Mohamed Hassan ushered Sebastian Nava over for a chat, the former LA Galaxy academy man, and some time in USL Championship with LA Galaxy too. Sung-bin out wide. Here's Barclay. He'll stand up this cross to the back post. Falls to Sung-bin. Now a heavy challenge will draw a whistle here from Mohamed Hassan. That'll be Jack Wagner going in the book, the captain for St. Louis. So we have seen yellows handed out early by this officiating crew. Charlie Kosakoff carrying a yellow for LAFC 2. And now Jack Wagner for St. Louis. Still scoreless as we close in on 15 minutes elapsed, but it's St. Louis with the two best chances to break that deadlock. had the breakaway early on the give up at the back that neither Brendan McSorley nor Jong Sang-bin could finish. Now another stoppage ushered for. St. Louis will quickly restart it, and they'll switch it out wide to this near side. Here's Jamon Barclay. An off-season acquisition looking to play McSorley through. McSorley first to it. Scally came out. And McSorley toppled along the boundary line. And again, LAFC 2 able to come away unscathed. It's a loss against San Jose Earthquakes 2, sandwiched in between two draws to open 2026 for Los Angeles Football Club. Still seeking that first victory of the 2026 campaign. They're looking to avoid their first winless start through 4 matches for the first time since 2023. Started 0-2-2 that season. Babineau off the reset, gave it up to Whitchurch. 24th overall pick out of Princeton in this most recent super draft. Hollick will tuck it back inside. Here's to Carlo Guerra. 27 appearances last year in MLS Next Pro. As that ball forward to Jacob Machuca, the 17-year-old, out of his reach, and Ben Lunt will have another goal clearance. 17 career saves for Lunt at the MLS Next Pro ranks. 1 clean sheet, saving about 71% of the shots he faces. And now it's St. Louis again on the move. Jamon Barclay will pick the pieces up there for City 2. And now it's Perez. We'll exchange this back to Lucas McNaughton. The New York native, City SC first teamer, coming over in the offseason from DC United. McNaughton with some great experience on that back line for a St. Louis team that at the MLS level has had a tendency to allow 1 too many goals in 2026. 62 career MLS appearances, played over 4,000 minutes with first teams as St. Louis will cough that one up, and LAFC will have the throw in via the change of possession. Not a lot of options right now for the black and gold on this throw in, as that goes ricocheting off the feet of Kosakoff, former Washington Husky. Will hesitate. Palmer Alt has had such an impressive start to his MLS Next Pro career. As Joyner flashes this one in, knotted down by the defense. Now thumped further clear by LAFC 2. That'll draw a whistle. LAFC will have this free kick as we have crossed over that 15th minute mark, still looking for the opening goal. And right now, LAFC 2 still looking for their first shot on target. It's St. Louis out shooting the black and gold right now, 3-2. Bakke Fall's initial pass deflected, fell right back to him. Losing a bit of ground there with St. Louis, and Lunt will whip that one forward. Machuca now, they're doubling up Machuca, and he turns it over. Barkley with the throw, and he's a player David Critchley was very willing to talk about when I caught up with him earlier this week. He said more than anything, he really fits into the profile of what St. Louis City 2 has always been. They've always been known for aggression, both on the attack and on defense, as that long pass forward intercepted by LAFC. There is a man down, the play will continue on. There's Eric Diaz, who had gone down. Back to his feet, though, 55 in white. Now Guerra gives it up out wide, finds Machuca, but the offside flag will come up. LAFC 2, they haven't had many options going forward so far in this first half. St. Louis have done well for themselves to keep this defense organized as Joyner goes in to keep that in possession for St. Louis. Goes crashing into DeCarlo Guerra, and that will be another yellow. Mohamed Hassan's not been shy about handing out the cards so far in half number one. Look at it in the center of your screen, right there at the end. Joyner went studs up, trying to slide that ball back to a teammate. Ended up connecting with the lower leg of DeCarlo Guerra. This will set LAFC 2 up with a free kick, and quite the promising position here as Joyner will go into the book. Hovering over top of it is Matt Evans, a dynamic goal scorer in MLS Next Pro. 14 goals of his own, 22 contributions. Evans will size up the wall in front of him. First real opportunity of this half for LAFC. It'll be Evans. It makes its way through, parried aside by Ben Lunt. Still not clear, though. The second ball served in, but cut out. Now Nava trying to pull it in and heads it along. These teams met just once in 2025. It was here in this venue toward the tail end of the season. St. Louis's fourth to last match. Not counting playoffs as well as this one rolled through. It was Matt Evans who came up with the opening goal for LAFC in the second half. Meanwhile, it's Mahalik! Fires that one wide of the far pipe again. The young black and gold, they are growing into this first half, and they're starting to get their key players touches, like Tommy Mahalik on that left wing. Got a screamer off the right boot of the former Indiana Hoosier. More whistles from Mohamed Hassan as an LAFC 2 player, and Tommy Mahalik will pick himself up. off this Bermuda grass surface. Nava trying to take on one too many defenders, couldn't hold on to it. McSorley will muscle Nava down, and that will bring the boos out from the St. Louis City SC crowd. Physicality getting the better of St. Louis over these last 5 minutes. Come back inside. Here's Evans. Stops. Still Evans now. Shot is blocked. Evans able to win it back for LAFC off the deflection. Nudged over to Machuca. And ultimately that will work its way down past the end line and out for a St. Louis goal kick. Early it was St. Louis asking the questions of LAFC too. But over these last 5 to 7 minutes, LA have started to find some openings, some opportunities. They're really utilizing these left and right flanks respectively to their advantage. They have some speedy guys on those wings, and Mahalik, the aforementioned Jacob Machuca as well. Flung forward, it's Barclay with the touch. Still Jamon Barclay now, cuts back to the outside. Barclay, the cut back in front, cleared away by LAFC. That is one of the things that David Critchley says he loves about Jamon Barclay. He's always looking to beat guys one-on-one, looking to isolate wingers. He described Barclay's style of play as being proactive, not reactive. That's a mentality that Critchley wants the St. Louis City 2 side to embody, and he feels like Jamon Barclay embodies it well. Former Charlotte 49er and USF Bull of the collegiate ranks, making his 3rd start of 2026 today. Here's Perez off the layoff. Tried to play it back through centrally, and no one there. Meanwhile, an LAFC 2 player will immediately go down, and training staff will be motioned on the pitch. Part of what has stymied St. Louis over these last few minutes is that LAFC 2, they've got their defense a bit more organized. They're staying narrow though, and it's creating some congestion in those central channels that St. Louis likes to use. Mohamed Hassan will sound the whistle, and he will use this opportunity to send both teams over to their respective touchlines for a hydration break. Sort of a mini hydration break ahead of the official full hydration break. You might be looking at the calendar and going, hey, it's March. Why do we need hydration breaks in the month of March? Well, it's hovering right around 90 degrees in St. Louis. It is a warm one. There's a big weather pattern, a big warm front that's moved into a large portion of the Midwest. Typically in this time, you would not see people on social media talking about where can we find the local patio to go sit outside in mid to late March. It's obviously starting to turn towards spring. We have eclipsed the first official day of spring, but it usually takes a few weeks for things to get comfortable enough. That is, of course, in this portion of the country. In other parts, it's summer year-round. decent amount of those St. Louisans deciding, forget going to a patio, let's come out and check out the local MLS Next Pro team. Another good turnout on hand here for St. Louis at Energizer Park. David Critchley and company, they've always talked so much at this club about how important the fan base is. You look at the most attended MLS Next Pro matches, and at least 4 of the top 5 are St. Louis City 2. Play back underway off the stoppage, and it's played forward. Trying to find Charlie Kosakoff, the San Diego native. Mbake Fall having some issues getting past Tommy Mahalik. Ultimately played back down to Ben Lunt. The switch over to Falou Fall. Now Perez looking for an option going forward here. Barclay steers that one inside, and now losing ground again is St. Louis. LAFC, they've come out and they've pressed in this first half in that 3-2 shape. Now there is a whistle to Carlo Guerra, who's been on the receiving end of a couple sturdy challenges in this opening almost 30 minutes. Will earn a free kick for LAFC too. It is a new era for LAFC, the organization, new second team manager in Fabian Sandoval. Marc Dos Santos taking over after Steve Cherundolo departing at the MLS ranks. Something that LAFC as a club, really all the MLS Next Pro clubs that have Major League Soccer parent clubs that they're a part of, talk about that tactical synergy and how it sets teams up for success. It's something that Fabian Sandoval, he had mentioned when I caught up with him earlier in the week. He said the biggest goal, we just want to play LAFC football. And what that means across the organization, that idea of suffering together that Marc Dos Santos preaches. As we have another whistle. But also wanting that aggressive press and counter press. As we have eclipsed that half-hour mark here in this opening half. Still scoreless. St. Louis, since those opening 5 minutes where they had the 2 opportunities to break through, there's been much in the way of offense, and this contest has devolved a little bit into a physical affair as we hear another whistle from Mohamed Hassan. Already 13 combined fouls between City 2 and LAFC 2. Nava couldn't pull that one in on the move. Here's Matt Evans. His 63rd minute goal. In the last meeting, what was a 1-1 draw that St. Louis rescued in second half stoppage time. Opened things up. Had a chance earlier off a free kick to do just that in this contest, but couldn't. And now it's St. Louis countering here. Flashed across goal, back post, it's in! A good ball forward here, courtesy of Brendan McSorley, and then Jamon Barclay flashing that one to the back post. Makai Joyner. Able to get on the receiving end of that. Makai Joyner picking up his third goal in MLS Next Pro in just 2 appearances so far this season. And now we have our first official hydration break of this contest. St. Louis just moments ago were able to find the breakthrough that they'd been seeking in this opening 45 minutes. And it's courtesy of who else but Makai Joyner. Joyner, his 31st MLS Next Pro goal in his last 43 appearances. Continuing to turn heads and wow in MLS Next Pro. At some point, Makai Joyner, you have to imagine, becomes just too valuable for this club to keep him here in MLS Next Pro on a full-time basis. That started out the season, the first 2 matches of the MLS season, on the bench for St. Louis City SC first team. Playback underway off the hydration break, and it's St. Louis City SC, a first half lead here. Just about 10 to go, plus added time to the end of the opening 45 minutes. LAFC, during that break, they have made one change. Brian Moyato will come on, the 20-year-old LAFC Academy alum. First change of the afternoon for Fabien Sandoval. Now the black and gold looking for a response to the Joyner strike. Here's Moyato, who just came on. Matt Evans unable to carry on in this first half. An early substitution used by Fabien Sandoval, taking one of their key players off. And now St. Louis an opportunity to counter here. Some solid rest defense there for LAFC, able to get numbers back behind that ball and stymie what would be a dangerous St. Louis counter. Lifted in, across goal, it falls to Barclay. Tries to hit it off the half volley and instead hits that into the seats. The aforementioned Makai Joyner, I mentioned his accolades, former Golden Boot runner-up in the 2024 season. Finished with 16 goals last year, already off to another torrid pace in 2026. He's played just 1 minute so far in MLS play this season. One appearance as Falou Fall going in from behind, able to knock that ball away from Jacob Machuca, who was looking for a whistle. McNaughton will play this one ahead to Joyner. remember talking to John Hackworth last year, the interim manager for St. Louis City 2, who took over after David Critchley was named caretaker. And he had said that everybody knows Mekhi Joyner, his scoring ability is so great. But one of the areas that Hackworth and company, and it's something that David Critchley echoed earlier this year, that they've really challenged Joyner on that defensive side of the ball. They know he's good there, but they want to see him take it to another level in 2026. Here's Sebastian Nava now. To Guerra. Had a hit from distance, won't make its way through. Took a few ricochets off St. Louis defenders. Turned over here by City 2. One thing that LAFC has tried to do in this opening half, they've tried to make this a real gritty style game. Ponciano lifts it in, headed toward goal, and gloved down by Ben Lund. Another turnover in the midfield, setting LAFC 2 up with an opportunity. Second save of the afternoon for Ben Lund. Pushed back ahead, but the offside flag is up. St. Louis City 2, another opportunity to come home. They were so good last year. Most home wins in the Western Conference of MLS Next Pro last season. Counting playoffs, the 9 wins, pulled points in 14 of 16. Only 2 losses, once against Colorado Rapids 2 in April, and another in the postseason that ended their season in the second round. Despite that, they've won 10 of their last 15 at home outright. A 28-8-12 record since this venue opened in 2022, formerly known as City Park, now Energizer Park. An absolute fortress for St. Louis. A chance today for City 2 as well. Still a half to go, but should this result hold, it would be their second consecutive unbeaten start through 4. Shockingly, despite all the success that St. Louis City 2 have had over the last few years. This, if they could hold on for the duration of this first half and into the second half, would be the first 4-0-0 start in club history. Now this turned upfield, a foot race will be won by St. Louis. It's Alt. He'll leave this off. Mbake Fall looking for the combination to Fall, stopped by Ethan Scally. Headed back down here to Jamone Barclay. And a hard collision on the aerial duel. Both Miguel Perez down and Jacob Machuca down as well for LAFC. Right here in the center of your frame, both trying to go for that ball. Perez trying to head it back along, and on a follow through on the header, ended up colliding with the head of the defender in Machuca. That man in the center of the screen, number 4, Mbake Fall. The 23-year-old acquired in 2026 by the St. Louis City first team. Spent the last 2 years with FC Barcelona's B side, 51 appearances. They have big things in mind for him. He played a full 45 minutes in his only MLS Next Pro appearance prior to this one. While Ethan Scally, he has been under a lot of duress in this opening half. He's faced 3 shots, stopped 2 of them. Training staff off the pitch for LAFC and St. Louis, respectively. Jung Sang-bin will stand over top of this former Minnesota United winger, acquired via a cash trade midway through the 2025 MLS season by St. Louis City. Sang-bin whips this into a crowd and it's headed away. Joyner, second bite of the apple for CITY2, and it's headed into the mitts of Ethan Scally. They find Nava ahead, and now Nava speeding forward for LAFC, trying to play a man in behind. Out comes Lunt, looking around the keeper, and instead, Kosakov's effort deflected out, and it will be a corner one late by LAFC. LAFC, they haven't stacked up many corners in 2026. In fact, the same amount as St. Louis. Those two teams tied as the 21st ranked team in corners won in MLS Next Pro this campaign. Nava plays the short option in. Tegera, middle of the park. And that space closed off quickly by Joyner. Machuca back wide. Here's Nava, whips it in front of goal. And deflected off the feet of Juliano Whitchurch. Nava, second ball in. That time Fall with the header away. The build-up disrupted, knocked out by LAFC, and CITY2 will have a throw. Officially 7 minutes of first half stoppage time. Seen a good number of whistles, a couple lengthy stoppages due to injury, and now it's LAFC, at least initially, trying to ask some questions. They've done a better job in this first half in terms of being more of that possession-oriented team that Fabian Sandoval was looking for. Really fell off in the second half in that last match against Real Monarchs, had just 34% share of the ball. They do earn themselves another corner here, so 2 corners in as many minutes now for the black and gold. Nava drives this in, glancing header to the back stick. Whitchurch will run it down and leaves it off for Ponciano. Ponciano on a platter in front to Mahalik. Couldn't settle that one. And there was a whistle. It's been that final piece for LAFC2 so far this afternoon that just hasn't been there, but they have done well to get into the attacking half. In fact, right now, almost 100 passes completed in this end of things for LAFC in this opening 45 minutes. You juxtapose that with just 60 right now for St. Louis. Machuca's cross blocked away by Falu Fall. Fall coming over in July of 2025, was acquired by the City first team after spending time with Fredrikstad FK of the Norwegian top flight. 42 career professional appearances across 3 different first teams internationally in Serbia, France, sometimes with Stade Reims. Nice moves here on the ball for LAFC too. It was Travis Babineau with a catalyst there. Ponciano now looking to shake free of Joyner, and just unable to do so, and that's sort of that defensive aggressiveness that I'd mentioned earlier that John Hackworth and David Critchley both talked about challenging Joyner, continuing to try to find ways to get him to grow as that complete player. Ben Lunt will wave everybody off. And he will put a right foot into this one to get things back underway off the stoppage. Here's McSorley in behind. Joyner has his eyes on 2. Scally came out. And now Scally will go down after making the initial stop. And this is not a welcome sign if you're Fabian Sandoval and LAFC. Real aggressiveness shown by Scally, quick off his line. Went laying out for that one. And it looks like the Joyner effort on that replay might have just hit Scally in the midsection. Ethan Scally, just 17 years old. A highly touted prospect coming out of the LAFC Academy. 5 saves, 6 goals allowed so far this season, and what is his 3rd year being rostered by LAFC2. Did not make an appearance back in 2024. Officially made his pro debut in April of 2025. Scally back to his feet, and play is back underway off the brief injury stoppage. Ball forward, intercepted by Fall. St. Louis have done a good job of getting those fullbacks high into the attack as this half has carried on. One back by Joyner and company. Here's Joyner from distance. Deflected back, second effort rolled towards Scally, who will see that one in all the way. Turned over, Perez shovels it to McSorley, whistles it wide. A rolling press of St. Louis starting to cause a litany of issues at the back these last few minutes for LAFC. St. Louis did lead MLS Next Pro last year in counter-attacking goals. Ended up finishing the 2025 season with 13. Had 4 games last year where they scored multiple times off of counterattacks in the same game. Part of that identity that David Critchley has talked about, one that as a club across the board all the way up to the MLS ranks can be traced back to Lutz Pfannenstiel, the club's first ever sporting director, who departed after last season. Some One of those tactical philosophies he brought over from his time in the Bundesliga. And they have stayed even as Pfannenstiel has moved on. And here is Smachuca moving on for LAFC. Inside to Kosakov. Got all turned around on that one. And ultimately St. Louis will come up with it. And Falou Fall has to just put that one into the seats to take the pressure off. Sangbin racing forward on the left now. He'll cut inside to his right. Still Sangbin, and goes high with that one. Impressive nonetheless, though, for the South Korean. He had so much attacking quality in the wide spaces for this, not just St. Louis CITY2 side, but organization as a whole. He was a fan favorite in Minnesota, and he's quickly become a favorite of the fans in St. Louis. Hoping to see big things out of him in 2026. His first full year with City SC. Now here's Machuca ahead, stopped by Lund. Both players going down, one for LAFC and one for St. Louis. Mohamed Hassan does sound the whistle. And we have reached the halftime break in St. Louis. Our score at the half, St. Louis City 1, LAFC 0. Coming up in this halftime, a Ted Lasso star visits Chicago Fire 2. And we check in with former Tacoma Defiance star Georgie Manungu. Halftime starts after this timeout.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
Back in St. Louis as halftime continues. Let's get to know the continuing journey of former Tacoma Defiance star Georgie Manungu in this incredible story.
Manungu, numbers for Seattle, looking to put this one to bed. Manungu! This one's in bed, and Georgie Manungu puts it there.
Manungu again running at Yaboa, again stepping over, byline, Manungu!
Georgie Manungu is as unpredictable as any player I've seen play for Seattle in MLS history.
Come from a Christian family, you know. My mom raised me with love and a lot of smile, and like She give me like all like good education, like always happy, whatever is coming, you know. So like I feel like me, I can play without joy, you know. As soon as I play like with no joy, I'm not happy. And I'm trying to, you know, to enjoy what I'm doing and like always be like normal, natural, you know. So that's me, you know, smile, you know, that's the thing.
For a long time, nobody in Seattle knew the name Georgie Manungu. But in a small village near the western edge of Ivory Coast, the game was already shaping him.
There was no rule, there was no restriction. We play like 9v1, you know, you have the ball and you have to, like 9 defenders against you, and then you have to dribble all of them to go score, you know? That's how I grew up.
He played in the street, sometimes with a ball made of plastic bags. There were no coaches, no tactics, just a game, and a joy that never left him.
It was fun, we played like on the street, you know, the ball wasn't like a real ball. It was a very good time, you know, I enjoyed those times. And every time I go back home, I have to play against my friend, yeah.
When he came to the US, he still had a lot to learn. He studied tape, asked questions, learned where to be and why.
Before training, I went in their office because I didn't really know like about the positioning, the tactical stuff, you know, but they helped me every time. They helped me grow, like I saw like how I improve a lot, you know, and my level like goes to the next level, you know, because they've been there since the first day. They saw the potential in me and they decided to help me. They really did the job, you know, so I really appreciate that, and like that's why I'm in the MLS level now, yeah.
Early in 2023, he was close to signing with the Sounders' first team. Then, without warning, his life changed drastically.
Like I did a great preseason, even score, like I was so good in preseason, and we came back, you know, training, and then stuff like that happened, you know. It was like all my world like goes down, like I didn't really know, like was like, bro, what's really going on? I'm about to live my dream, and then like this stuff happened, you know. But like, you know, I'm a son of God. Whatever happened, you know, is God would decide, you know. And I decided to fight and not let this thing affect me, you know. The doctor was saying like, no, maybe it's not possible that you might play one day, but I was like, no, I'm gonna fight through, I'm gonna play even if I have one eye, I'm gonna be the best. Everybody's gonna say, oh, this kid has one eye, but he's even better than those who has 2 eyes. And that's my mindset now, you know. No matter where I go, no matter how defender is good, or like I'm gonna go through and then I'm gonna play, I'm gonna be the best winger in this league. And that's my mindset. That's how I get to the first team.
Then, another blow. His father passed away.
My family didn't want me like to be, they know that this thing affects me, you know, and they didn't want me to go back to my country and then like I'll be so much affected that when I came back, you know, my game will not be the same, you know. And that moment I just signed with the first team, so that was the moment to help the team. So I talked to my mom. She was like, Georgie, I know you want to come, but for me, I think like the good thing for you to do is to stay and help your team, you know. And I know your dad will tell me, if he was there, he would say the same thing, you know, because my dad like would never want me to leave training or something like that to just go do other thing, you know, because he's been helping me a lot since I used to be a kid to just keep training and stuff like that, you know. So like I listened to my family and then I decided to stay and then play for my dad, and then after at the end of the year I went back to see everything, and yeah, that wasn't easy, you know, playing with knowing that your dad passed away and you can't even go over there, like just seeing for last one time, you know, it's very tough. But I decided to play for the team because I love the team, and yeah, that's the more important thing. I have a lot of people here supporting me, so that was huge.
Right towards the spot, that one's side going, touched in by Manungu.
Ball come on me, I just put it in, you know. And in that moment, I was thinking about my dad, you know, because my dad passed away the day before. So the coach even asked me, Georgie, are you sure like you can play? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play. scoring that goal, and then like I was crying even at the end. Everybody come to support me, but that was a good moment for me, and I even put my hand on Sky, to say, yeah, Dad, I know you over there, but like I'm playing for you now, and that was a good moment, and thanks God for everything, and that was one of the best moments of my life, yeah.
He's proven he belongs. Now, he wants more.
I'm always fighting, but my goal is to be the best in my position, try to score goal, assist, and try to help the team win trophy, We never know how it's gonna end, but everybody's dream is to play maybe one day in Europe, Champions League, something like that, Never know, that's my dream too, but now I want to help the team, the same way the team helped me too.
He's not just here for himself. His journey is a message.
Whatever you want in your life, go find it, go get it. Because if you don't do it, maybe in the future, one day you're gonna regret it, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, maybe I could, maybe no. In my mind, there is no maybe. Either I find a way to do that, or either I create myself a way to do that. So that's my mindset.
Welcome back to St. Louis. It's 1-0 in favor of City 2. It's not an act. One of your favorite Ted Lasso actors did make an appearance in a camp, and he can play. So we tracked him down to talk about the experience with Chicago Fire.
Hola, hola, this is Cristo Fernandez, and we're here at the new facilities in Chicago Fire. Very happy and grateful to be here. I know I've been doing more acting and filmmaking these last couple of years. I would have never imagined how life was gonna turn for me. Never imagined that with my new dreams of film and acting, football, soccer was gonna be the thing that was gonna open them for me. I say this because I've always missed football, soccer. That's my first love. The level is very intense, young upcoming players, so lots of potential in this club. I can say that this is world-class level. I played professionally back home in Guadalajara. We didn't have this level of world-class facilities. I think the club is doing something great for both the city, the team, the players. It's a dream come true for anyone to be here. So for me, it's also a dream come true to be here now, and I am grateful for the opportunity. What has surprised me is the level of the team. I've seen both the first team, the second team, the players, they're doing something great. And what surprised me as well is the quality of the people, very nice people. And that also says a lot about the club, and I think that's very important. It's been really nice getting back to the field, training, and really giving my best and believing I still can play this professionally, and we'll see where the dream takes us. But it's been really nice.
Halftime continues in the Show Me State. St. Louis City 2, a 1-0 lead at the break over LAFC 2. As we take a look at last week's scores, Saturday was such a fantastic day of MLS Next Pro action. You had the Heck is Plausible Derby. You had a Texas Derby in the West. And how about Houston Dynamo Dos? 4 up, 4 down to start the 2026 season. They've scored 13 goals, have yet to concede a goal, and they currently pace the Western Conference. St. Louis, despite rattling off 3 consecutive, currently finds themselves looking up at Houston Dynamo 2. Thursday out in the Eastern Conference, Toronto FC exploding against New York City FC 2. 3 goals in an 8-minute span in the second half. Crown Legacy in the East as well. A hot start to pace the Eastern Conference. As we take a look at the upcoming schedule now around MLS Next Pro, there is action tomorrow in the Western Conference. Ventura County and Portland Timbers 2 will lock horns. A light week in MLS Next Pro. Things will pick back up Saturday. And the Western Conference, how about that? The Derby Q, St. Louis and Sporting Kansas City 2 will meet once again. The second meeting in the first 5 weeks of the season. St. Louis fans will remember they handed Sporting Kansas City 2 a resounding defeat 4-0 here in this venue to open 2026. Well, those were the matches that were and the matches that are to come. As for this match right now, let's get you up to speed with all the action that was with our halftime highlights. And it was St. Louis early on asking some questions, courtesy of a giveaway in the defensive half by LAFC 2. Brendan McSorley off to the races. Jong Sang-bin can't finish on the follow-up. A great stop there by Ethan Scally. And then LAFC 2 would start to grow into the game. That whistled wide of that far post by Sebastian Nava. McSorley coming down from the St. Louis first team. He's been a terror to deal with. Another shot parried away. Speaking of parrying it away, how about Ben Lunt? Off the free kick, able to see that one through and knock it out. And then this one from Tommy Mahalik goes skipping wide of the far post as well. Then in the first half, St. Louis would finally find the breakthrough. Jamon Barclay whipping it over to Makai Joyner, and who else? Makai Joyner scoring again in the 32nd minute. A look at the stats will tell you a fuller story. 11 shots for St. Louis in that opening half. 7 shots on target. And David Critchley's bunch, as glad as they are to have the lead, they might be a little frustrated that it's not a bigger lead going into half number 2. Have to start being a bit more ruthless in front of goal. LAFC 2 did a solid job of, as mentioned, growing into the game. They ended up finishing with above 50% possession in that half. Those are the stats from the opening 45 minutes. The second 45 minutes yet to come here in St. Louis. We'll kick it back to break. Second half kick on the other side.
Yeah, boys hear sentiment, flow tastes sweet like cinnamon. Open up doors, I'm a gentleman. View top floor, I'm still sticking ahead of them. Running on fumes and adrenaline. Do what I do best, can't rush in like a roulette. You can't name a better duet. Don't ask questions, trying to figure out what sound. Don't worry about what next, just wanna know what's next. Man, I say it so loud. Don't worry about what next, just know we got now. Oh yes, man, I say it oh so proud. Don't worry about what next, just know we got now.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
All set to go for the second half in St. Louis. Mohamed Hassan sounds the whistle, and we're back underway for the second 45 minutes between LAFC 2 and St. Louis City 2. 2 changes at the break for St. Louis. Patrick McDonald will trot on. His 4th appearance of the season for St. Louis City 2. It's LAFC 2 on the move at the moment as Sebastian Nava will give it up. Andrew DeGans will come on as well, joining Patrick McDonald for that double change for David Critchley at the break. DeGans acquired on Friday of this week. Former Oregon State Beaver of the collegiate level, the native of Trinidad and Tobago is. David Critchley asked about him earlier in the week, about what he brings to this club as Ben Lunt's clearance blocked out. And Critchley said, look, when you go through a long season, you have to have a big roster of players in order to succeed and be one of those final teams standing. So once you get deep into the year, you get several games under your belt, players start to get tired, and you need guys all across the roster. But he's not just a depth piece in the eyes of David Critchley. They feel like he can come in, and once he gets acclimated, be a day one starter. Ponciano came up with the interception, and this high press for LAFC too, as the half went on, started to cause St. Louis some issues. Here's Mahalik now, trying to pick out that far corner. He's arguing it was deflected on its way out, and officials do not concur, so it's a Ben Lunt goal kick. Lunt, a series of saves in the opening half to the tune of 3 stops, and Ben Lunt's return to MLS Next Pro for the first time since 2024. Guerra, the interception. Left that pass forward wanting a bit. It does set LAFC up with a throw in though. The black and gold, they have been a second half team over the course of the last year. Last year, 23 of their 47 goals scored in the second half, including the breakthrough in the only meeting of 2025 between St. Louis and LAFC. They've already scored 2 second half goals of their 5 here in 2026, as Mekhi Joyner has the only goal so far in the 32nd minute. Going to shuffle past Amir Ponciano, who goes to ground, and that one will roll out. A corner awarded to St. Louis City 2. Opportunities after opportunities in that first 45 minutes for David Critchley's bunch. 11 shots, 7 on target. More impressively, though, it was St. Louis's ability to get into that penalty spot. 7 of their 11 shots taken inside. Joyner whips this. A bit overhit there on that corner to that back post. And it goes out for an Ethan Scally goal kick. Did see Scally go down for a few minutes. A bit of a troubling moment for Ethan Scally late in that first half, but Scally sticking with it, able to shake the knock off. And he's turned in a solid performance as well. He's made 6 saves of the 7 shots he's faced. Moyano subbed on in the first half in place of Matt Evans. Ponciano tucks it inside. Here's Nava. Gonna roll this one in behind, and will do just that, but can't find a teammate. As Riley Lynch, the former Town FC forward turned St. Louis City 2 forward, draws a whistle. Nava, he and Perez, they've had a couple collisions in this contest. That time, Miguel Perez getting the better of Sebastian Nava. Sangbin out wide to Barclay on the late arriving run. Jamon Barclay tried to step inside, and that forces a decisive clearance out from DeCarlo Guerra. Gans, the 5'9" wingback. Thought about the throw in. Instead, they'll defer to Jamon Barclay. McSorley lays it off. This one struck from long distance and will go sailing even longer over the head of Ethan Scally. This contest kicking off the Sunday slate of action. There are two others in action around MLS Next Pro on this Sunday afternoon, including in the Western Conference. Mark Lowry's Real Monarchs squad finding themselves up 1-0 over Vancouver Whitecaps 2. And here is DeCarlo Guerra on the move now. Cut back inside, looking for Guerra. Takes a hop over his head. Ends up getting a bear hug there from Lucas McNaughton. Meanwhile, Jong Sang-bin able to win a whistle. Mohamed Hassan, his name has been called just about as much as the players so far today. Physicality has been a word that comes to mind, mainly considering we have eclipsed 20 combined fouls now. There's two still out on the pitch in this second half for St. Louis that are carrying yellow cards. Make that 3 as we have another whistle from our center referee. Jack Wagner, Miggy Perez, and Makai Joyner all on a yellow at the moment. Meanwhile, 49 there roaming around in white and black. Charlie Kosakoff. He got an early yellow in the first half as McSorley operating on the left. Here's Barkley, fires it across the face of goal. Ultimately rolls out the other side, and that is where LAFC 2 will have this throw in. This venue has not been kind to LAFC. Searching for their first win all time in St. Louis. Searching for their first win overall in this series as well. They've only plucked points out in 2 of the 5 prior matchups between these Western Conference sides. As David Critchley looks on, and Mbake Fall will have a throw in. David Critchley, he is such a thoughtful guy, really leans into that mental side of the sport as another whistle will sound. This will be a booking, and if it goes against Joyner, it's a second, and it is. Makai Joyner right there for that little forearm shiver just at the end. As Mahalik goes diving down to the ground after it. Makai Joyner shown a second yellow less than 10 minutes into this second half. And his afternoon is done early. He will make the long trot back to the locker room. And St. Louis City 2 will play down to 10 men for the duration of this contest. A massive swing of momentum in favor of the visitors from Los Angeles. They will have the man advantage for over 30 minutes. And an opportunity here to peg a goal back. Here's DeCarlo Guerra off the combination, rolled ahead now. Machuca looking for the cutback. Nava out of position. Ponciano will clean things up rather. Stands up across, nodded away, and headed back down here to Sebastian Nava. Cut inside, here's DeCarlo Guerra. Former MLS Next All-Star 2 seasons ago. After spending time in the LAFC Academy. An LAFC Academy that Fabian Sandoval very familiar with as a former Academy head coach. Played into Babineau on that right flank. Guerra. He can hit these. Guerra going for it. And it's pushed over the bar by Binlund. DeCarlo Guerra had a hit from distance in the opening 45 minutes. Now going back to the well here in this second half and drawing a fine save out of Binlund, his fourth. The black and gold moving quickly, playing the short option. Guerra, his effort stymied once more, and it's consecutive corners now for LAFC 2. They'll go back to DeCarlo Guerra. Third time not the charm for the fourth-year LAFC man. Instead resets things back to Moyato, now rolled ahead. Lobbed into the penalty area. Barkley comes up with the header initially for St. Louis, and now here's Patrick McDonald trying to turn this into a counter. Quickly erased, though, by LAFC. All things considered in that opening 45 minutes, LAFC played very well. Had a solid amount of possession at the end of the opening 45 minutes. Generated 8 shots, 3 shots on target. They did have some struggles getting into dangerous scoring areas consistently. Had just 10 touches inside the St. Louis penalty area. That box defending is something that this City SC organization, especially at this MLS Next Pro level, tries to pride itself on under David Critchley. The black and gold starting to turn the screws here in this attacking end. It's Mahalik, peels it back over. Ponciano to Moyato. Despite playing down the man, St. Louis doing a good job of keeping their defensive shape. Here comes LAFC centrally, though. Initially on it was Charlie Kosakov, knocked off of it, and now Jamon Barkley tripped up. As it stands currently, St. Louis, the 1-0 lead, and Makai Joyner, he's going to find himself all over the score sheet. Once for a goal, and then once in the 55th minute for the second yellow, resulting in a red that has St. Louis playing down to 10 players as we've crossed over the hour mark. Long pass over the top. Here's Brendan McSorley. LAFC 2, they will have the throw in. St. Louis last year, just 1 red card handed out throughout the duration of the season. It came in their early season road match against Ventura County FC. I remember talking to David Critchley. That was prior to him making the jump up to become the caretaker manager of City SC MLS side. I remember talking to Critchley. Is Nava able to get it ahead? Rounding the keeper is Mahalik. Rolled toward goal and in! Tommy Mahalik taking the corner flag with him, and a lifeline for LAFC, 1-1. A good ball played through. Sebastian Nava able to tuck it centrally, and Tommy Mahalik doing the rest, splitting two defenders and rounding Ben Lunt for the equalizer. The captain coming through in the clutch for Fabian Sandoval and LAFC 2. Sandoval, he said that he expects a player like a Tommy Mahalik to be the leader for this young team. He's committed to the process, he's bought in, and he leads by example. Called him a guy that when you have him, he makes the culture better. And he's made the prospects for LAFC 2 in this match much better. New life for the black and gold on the road. Meanwhile, St. Louis making a change as Zach Lillington coming on. Third change of the afternoon for David Critchley, and the issues continue here for Critchley's bunch. Coughed up at the back, and here is DeCarlo Guerra wanting the service. Blocked out by DeGans, and it's out for another corner. Already the third corner of the second half for LAFC. As Lucas McNaughton, his afternoon is done. Guerra over to Ponciano. Took a deflection off of Mohamed Hassan, and he will whistle for a stoppage. Things will resume off the drop ball. And there is said drop ball. Play back underway. Here's Ponciano. What was a 1-0 St. Louis lead in the first half that felt like it could have been more considering the chances created has suddenly turned into St. Louis trying to hang on here. Slipped through to Nava off the dummy. Here's Nava still inside to Kosakov, the back heel. Mahalik has two. It's 2-1. A blink and you'll miss it brace for the captain, and LA lead. This is just spectacular. Showtime for LAFC 2. A build-up so good. It'll make Max Bretos happy back in Los Angeles. Right now, it's LAFC 2 asking all the questions, and they've got all the answers on the road. Fabian Sandoval, he had reflected on that draw against Real Monarchs, and he had said, we get the point, we battle, we really felt like we turned a corner. They caught a break with the St. Louis red card, and they have taken full advantage of their opportunities. You can really see a lot of these principles starting to click for LAFC 2. And now St. Louis trying to equalize quickly, and it's McSorley tapped toward goal. DeGans now will stand up across, popping around in the thick of it, and ultimately Scally will make the grab. Meanwhile, Tommy Mahalik immediately goes down, grabbing his shoulder. Things have changed in a hurry in favor of LAFC. A brace across the course of 3 minutes for the Illinois native, Tommy Mahalik. Lillington tried to head that one along, ended up working its way out, and now St. Louis will make yet another change. Cooper Forcellini will come on for his first run of the afternoon. Fourth appearance of the campaign for Forcellini. It's headed back down. McSorley and St. Louis trying to stop the bleeding now in this second half. And here is Miguel Perez. A homegrown signing is Perez, number 28 in Navy. He'll move that quickly. Here's Fall. Able to connect with McSorley now. McSorley unable to make something happen. LAFC defensively, they've done a good job of marking Brendan McSorley. He does have 2 shots on target and a chance created for St. Louis City 2, but nothing that he's had today has come very easy. And it has been, as we have another whistle against St. Louis, it has been a very workmanlike performance at times, very blue collar defensively for this LAFC 2 team. They've tried to make the game gritty, muddy it up, slow it down at times, and it has succeeded a bit as Mohamed Hassan will trot over to the near touch line. And there was a card coming out of his pocket as he ran over. A yellow card doled out by Mohamed Hassan, this time to the St. Louis technical area. David Critchley and the City 2 coaching staff, they were incensed. There's Patrick McDonald, former Toronto FC2 midfielder. 4 minutes shy of 1,000 last year for the Young Reds out in the Eastern Conference. Bake Fall able to settle that one and steer it back to Ben Lunt. St. Louis will switch it in stride to Miggy Perez. Has options to his right. Able to find Lynch now. Lynch contorting around the defender. Deflecting around, back heeled. Sangbin deflected away by Scally on the doorstep and batted off the line. There's an injured St. Louis player down. It looks to be Miguel Perez. Crafty here from Riley Lynch. And Jong Sangbin can't finish. The follow-up saved off the line by Ethan Scally to keep the black and gold in front. St. Louis City 2. Despite down a man, undeterred right now. Since conceding that second goal, they've played with A bit renewed intensity and pace. Tommy Mahalik a brace here in this second half. 63rd and 66th minutes, respectively, turning the tides in favor of the visitors from California. Lumped forward to DeCarlo Guerra. Just trying to tightrope that touchline and could not. Now DeGan's with it. One thing that Fabian Sandoval emphasized as Cooper Forcellini will draw a whistle this week was he's just so proud and so happy to be in charge of this LAFC 2 club. Was an assistant under Junior Gonzalez last year, joined LAFC in 2017. He's been there, he's a day one man with this club. Former U12, U13, and U17 head coach for the LAFC Academy, and he said he could go back through on his phone and find pictures before the stadium was even built, before the offices were even completed. Said it's such a treat to just keep moving up the coaching ranks in this club, as LAFC will have another free kick here. Charlie Kosakov slow to get back to his feet. There's a little bit of what appears to be a lower leg cramp that his teammates are trying to lend a hand on. His trainers will come out, but Sandoval, now in his 9th season with the club, said it just means everything to him to be LAFC 2 head coach. A great level of appreciation for this first-year manager. Kosakov back to his feet and making his way over toward the near touchline. Fabian Sandoval, he had said that he wanted LAFC 2 to play LAFC football. Be confident and comfortable in their identity. They have been confident and comfortable in this second half, especially since we ellipsed the hour mark. St. Louis will make another change. Palmer Alt will come on. That is their 5th and final substitution of the afternoon. Cooper Forcellini had come on just a few minutes ago. Forcellini, all Lillington, all players who, McDonald as well, coming off the bench today, but had been in the starting 11 for the first 3 fixtures of the MLS Next Pro season. It was a first-team heavy 11 today. 8 changes. The entire back line for St. Louis comprised of first-teamers for St. Louis City. Players like a Brendan McSorley and Miguel Perez coming down as well. And one of the men who just subbed off, Jong Sangbin, also part of that 8-change 11 for St. Louis, and David Critchley coming into this Sunday contest. If you're just joining us, it was St. Louis striking first in the first half. Makai Joyner in the 32nd minute. He was shown a second yellow in the 55th, meaning he was sent off, and it wasn't long after that, 7 minutes to be precise, that LAFC equalized thanks to Tommy Mahalik, and then they doubled their goal-scoring output in the 65th, again, courtesy of their captain. A brace across the course of 3 minutes. And it has put LAFC2 in command now. St. Louis trying to remedy that, though. Played through. Here's Palmer. Oh, on the turn. Nava left that short. Over to Tommy Mahalik, who is fouled by Mbake Fall. Drawing a whistle from Mohamed Hassan. Awarding a free kick to LAFC2, who do appear ready to make 2 changes of their own at the first available opportunity. And they will do that. Mohamed Hassan will send both teams over to their respective touchlines for the hydration break, as mandated by the soaring temperatures here in St. Louis. Currently hovering right around 90 degrees in the Show Me State. That man right there, he's been the star in the second half. All the attention on the captain for LAFC2, Tommy Mahalik. For this reason right here. 2 goals in the span of 3 minutes. Got LAFC2 on the board. First, though, he drew the foul that ended up getting Makai Joyner sent off in the 62nd minute. Rounding Ben Lunt, rolled in. That equalized for LAFC2. Then he'd come right back down. The dish from Nava, the back heel over. So spectacular, so crafty. All set up by Charlie Kosakoff. And Tommy Mahalik and LAFC2 riding high right now. LAFC2 coming off this hydration break. They will make a triple change. As mentioned moments ago, Luke Goodman, former UC Davis defender, on for the 3rd time this year. He's joined by Dempsey Resic, the LAFC Academy man, and Ernesto Rodriguez, the 19-year-old out of Oxnard College. After the break, play back underway, steered forward by Whitchurch, 24th overall pick out of Princeton in the Super Draft in 2025. Off comes Charlie Kosakoff, who had the assist on what at the moment put LAFC in front of St. Louis. Prior to St. Louis going down a man, they did a good job of not just moving that ball forward. Wanting to be vertical is something that David Critchley has talked a lot about over the last year plus. He says they spend time in training on it. They want to be a progressive team, getting in behind lines. They had some good success verticality-wise as that thumped out of play by the recent sub Luke Goodman. But they did a good job as well of not just being one note and thumping balls over the top. They moved that ball sideline to sideline as well, courtesy of the switching passes. Of course, that task becomes a little bit harder when you only have 10 men out there instead of your full 11. As Lillington backing up, but they have lost that a bit out of their game in this second half. Long toss in from Lillington, glancing header along. That is where Riley Lynch picks things up. Here's Lynch, the service, back post, headed towards Scally, and it's saved again. Ethan Scally turning in quite the afternoon. 3 saves now in this second half alone, up to 9 on the afternoon. And he is as much a reason that this scoreline is the way it is, as Tommy Mahalik did a good job of keeping LAFC in the contest. They had to hunker down and face a lot of pressure in the first half from St. Louis. It's been LAFC's turn in the second half to return that favor to St. Louis, so to speak. Right now, 66% possession for the black and gold. And now we have another whistle from Mohamed Hassan. Dating back to last season, St. Louis City 2, unbeaten in 13 consecutive going back to 2025, as Mahalik taking Riley Lynch down. And that will set St. Louis up with a free kick as David Critchley looks on. He was wanting a card. Cards do stay in the pocket, though, of Mohamed Hassan. As St. Louis moves it to the far side. Looking for McDonald centrally. Not a Forcellini, but driven all the way back down. And that is where St. Louis will recollect things, courtesy of Ben Lunt. Gans able to straddle the stripe on the far side. One area that LAFC has keyed in on in this match that has made life more difficult for St. Louis throughout the contest. For the first 3 matches of the season, they love to use those little passing combinations. Those triangles they create along the touch lines. Creates those central pockets that they can then play into. LA's understood where those are going to be at. You look back at St. Louis's 3-2 thrilling win against Ventura County, on the other side of this LA derby. Now another whistle here from Mohamed Hassan. And you look back at that passing map from St. Louis, and one area that most of their passes were generated not just along the back line. Yes, St. Louis a build from the back team, but they wanted to go through that middle, go diagonal, back out wide, overload on the right-hand side. Here they are on that right side. Rolled ahead, here's Forcellini now, wants the cutback. Scally got a piece of it and deflects it out for a St. Louis corner. Third corner of the second half coming here for St. Louis as McDonald will size up his options from this near flag. McDonald lifts it in, headed away. First contact made by LAFC. And here's Perez, run right through by Ernesto Rodriguez. And this will be a booking for the second half change. One thing that David Critchley had acknowledged in the midweek was, he said anytime you're playing a West Coast team, they're always going to be flying up and down. They have a good attacking identity, Also said they're not afraid to get in there and mix things up with teams. They saw it with Ventura County last week. And another physical affair here against LAFC, as Amir Ponciano will come off and Josh Santiago will come on, the 18-year-old LAFC Academy product. Santiago, 2 short-term call-ups during the 2025 MLS season as McDonald touched things up. Play underway, 4 to go plus stoppage time. McDonald trying to service that one in, and out it goes for a goal kick to Ethan Scally. This is a moment, an area of the game that Fabian Sandoval has wanted to work with his team on. Says he's been pleased with the way they've bought into the tactics, the culture, the belief within themselves, but he said the biggest thing that they need to learn is they just can't panic when they have the lead. They've had late leads twice this season, coughed them up. Last against Real Monarchs, against Tacoma Defiance in their season opener. Went up 2-0 on Defiance on the road, couldn't hang on. And he says in these moments, we just have a tendency to get away from who we are. Cleared out, DeGans will have the throw for St. Louis. In that Tacoma Defiance match, they gave up goals in the 81st and 85th minutes, gave up an 89th minute goal last match week, courtesy of Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. The switching ball out wide into DeGans. DeGans flashed across the face. Scally came out and batted that one away to somewhat disrupt it. And that is where Mbake Fall will go all the way back to track it. Of the now 9 goals, counting the goal scored by St. Louis today, that LAFC have conceded, 6 of those have been in the second half, and St. Louis trying to find that would-be equalizer. A goal kick awarded to Ethan Scally. This is an LAFC2 team that they are a bit short-handed today in terms of available players. No Jude Terry, who was on the bench for last night's 0-0 draw for LAFC, and Marc dos Santos against Austin FC. No Marius Ianero as well today. Ianero, a player who has scored this season for LAFC. He's a player that Fabian Sandoval talked a lot about earlier this week. Another goal kick coming here for LAFC too. Also subbed out Matt Evans pretty early into this contest, less than a half hour in. But it hasn't mattered to this juncture. LAFC overcoming a first half deficit, 2 unanswered scored in the second half, courtesy of Tommy Mahalik, and those are the difference makers so far for the black and gold. Trying to salt away these final few moments. Mahalik trying to play this in behind. Instead, McDonald first to it. Out of the vicinity of Dempsey Resic. Well, you heard the PA. 7 minutes of stoppage time, according to the 4th official here in St. Louis. Plenty of time for CITY2 to find an equalizer. Playing down to 10 men in this second half, due to the Makai Joyner 55th minute red card. Here's DeGans, recent signing, to Alt, who's had such a good start to 2026. 3 goals, 3 assists. David Critchley, he joked. I asked him, I said, are you surprised at all about how Palmer Alt has really just stormed onto the scene? And he said, yes and no. Yes, because it's been a pleasant surprise to just see how well he's grabbed a hold of the reins and taken full advantage of his opportunities. But he also said no, because he has the courtesy of seeing Palmer Alt 6 out of the 7 days of the week. He said people in the media, broadcasters like myself, we get to see Palmer Alt once on game day. But Critchley sees the hard work that Alt puts in. And now there's a whistle here for a foul. That'll go against Luke Goodman, the Santa Barbara native, and it will set St. Louis up with a free kick. It was in 90+7 second half stoppage time that Makai Joyner leveled the match the last time these teams met back in September of 2025. St. Louis hoping they have more late magic in their boots against the black and gold today. Lynch swings it in, deflected towards Scally and palmed over the bar. This had danger written all over it. Off the noggin of Brendan McSorley. Erased by Scally, who continues to have such an impressive game. Alt in swinger. First contact made by Whitchurch. Takes a hop back toward goal, still ricocheting around. McSorley strike blocked. McDonald will have the throw for St. Louis City 2, and suddenly this has the feeling of LA trying to hold on for these last 4 minutes of stoppage time. Driven out wide, Lynch settles, DeGans in the mixer. Turned away that time. Nava got a foot to it, and Mahalik trying to thump it clear, unable to do so. Lillington now on the left, will cut inside, looking for space. It's Lillington, deflected out, and another corner for St. Louis. David Critchley, he said that match against Ventura County FC is so important. To be faced with adversity, to go down goals early in the season, it builds that mentality, that mental fortitude. Real pressure here for St. Louis. Low line drive, slipped in front of Scally, turned away again. City 2 facing more adversity here against LAFC. The cross whipped in. Settled back to DeGans, rifle toward goal, the rebound put in! Brendan McSorley in second half stoppage time has rescued it. You could feel it building for St. Louis. Going back to the well time and again. LAFC struggling to clear the lines. DeGans able to drive that through. And Brendan McSorley cleaning it up on the doorstep. Deja vu in St. Louis. It was just a handful of months ago that City 2 dashed LAFC's hopes in 90+7. And in 90+5, Brendan McSorley has likely sent this to a penalty shootout on this Sunday afternoon. David Critchley talked so much this week about mental fortitude of St. Louis City. That was his biggest takeaway from the come-from-behind win against Ventura County FC. The way they faced deficits for the first time this year, the way they battled back from them. They've done it again here. Now it's Mahalik wanting a third and skipping wide. Tommy Mahalik, the frustration written on his face. He was hoping for some semblance of a whistle breaking the way of LAFC 2. Ben Lunt will clear this away, content to take some time getting this goal clearance set up as he watches the final ticks of this clock run down. St. Louis, though, they do get a late whistle here. Likely the last kick of the game, as McDonald will stand over it. Rather, Lillington, that is. Whipped ahead, skipping around. There's a whistle for a foul. We have gone over the 7 allotted for stoppage time, and right on cue, there is the whistle from Mohamed Hassan. Late match heroics from Brendan McSorley in his return to MLS Next Pro. Rescuing a point at the death for St. Louis. We will head to a penalty shootout on this Sunday afternoon on the other side of this break.
Yeah, boys hear sentiment, flow tastes sweet like cinnamon. Open up doors, I'm a gentleman. View top floor, I'm still sticking ahead of them. Running on fumes and adrenaline. Do what I do best, can't rush in like a roulette. You can't name a better duet. Don't ask questions, trying to figure out what sound. Don't worry about what next, just wanna know what's next. Man, I say it so loud. Don't worry about what next, just know we got now. Oh yes, man, I say it oh so proud. Don't worry about what next, just know we got now.
Back in St. Louis, Missouri, 90 minutes and 7 of stoppage time, not enough to determine a winner. After regulation, St. Louis 2, LAFC 2. Let's show you how we got to this point and get you up to speed. It was St. Louis striking first in the 32nd minute. Barkley whipping a ball to the back post, and there is Mekhi Joyner finishing. However, Mekhi Joyner, he would get sent off in the 55th minute, and it would open the door for LAFC 2 to not just equalize in the 62nd minute, but take the lead 3 minutes later. Nava over to Kosakov, back heel to Mahalik, rifled in. That made it 2-1, and it looked like LAFC 2 would cruise to a win, their first of the season. But Brendan McSorley in 90+5 off the save from Scally, the rebound put in, and that made it 2-2, which is where we stand at the end of regulation. This is some Sunday matinee here in St. Louis. That is exciting of a match as you could ask for between St. Louis City 2 and LAFC 2. The third draw in series history between St. Louis and LAFC. It does end the 3-match win streak for St. Louis. So much like they started last season, 3 up, 3 down, and then a shootout in their 4th match of the year against Austin FC. History repeating itself in 2026 for St. Louis City 2. City 2 won last year's penalty shootout, the only meeting of the year, 4-2. LAFC 2 missed their final 2 penalty attempts in that shootout, as St. Louis went 4 for 4. Patrick McDonald will waltz up to the spot, and he will start things off for St. Louis here at home. Facing off against Ethan Scally. 12 saves today for Scally. LAFC 2, they're 1 for 2 on penalty shootouts in 2026. Lost the penalty shootout last match against Monarchs, won the shootout against Tacoma Defiance. This is the first shootout of 2026 for St. Louis. A bit of a delay to the start of this penalty shootout, awaiting the opening whistle from Mohamed Hassan in that shootout against Real Monarchs. It was Travis Babineau missing the final effort to sink the black and gold. McDonald will start us out here, and McDonald scores. Patrick McDonald coming on in the second half for St. Louis City 2. He's had a strong 2026. 1 goal scored this year during regulation, and he converts the penalty. Well taken. Now Fabian Sandoval will look to DeCarlo Guerra. 53 career appearances in MLS Next Pro, now in his 4th season with LAFC 2. Guerra did not attempt a penalty in the last shootout against Real Monarchs. Did convert LAFC 2's first penalty in the shootout win against Tacoma in the season opener. DeCarlo Guerra scores and goes high on Ben Lunt. Ben Lunt, a big body there in net, 6'6", just guessing the wrong direction. As DeCarlo Guerra firing this one into the top netting. Now Brendan McSorley will waltz up to this penalty spot. McSorley, he's the hero for St. Louis today. Had that goal in second half stoppage time to bring us to this penalty shootout. McSorley runs up, and it's stopped by Scally. The heroics continue in net for Scally. 12 saves during regulation and stonewalling McSorley. Now here is the man wearing the captain's armband, the man who gave LAFC not 1 but 2 goals, Tommy Mahalik, former Indiana Hoosier, the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year in 2024. Mahalik scores, and LAFC 2 lead it in this shootout through 2 rounds. There's no nonsense penalty taking here from the Black and Gold's captain. Fabian Sandoval said he's a guy that leads by example. You can see stone-faced is Tommy Mahalik. Still, though, work to do in this shootout. As St. Louis's captain, Miguel Perez, much like Brendan McSorley, who was just denied by Ethan Scally. Perez, first appearance of the year. Perez, he scores and does not miss his mark. Drives it into the near side that time, Perez does. That'll breathe some new life into this St. Louis crowd. You hear them chanting and cheering in the background. They've been there every step of the way to try to will this St. Louis City 2 team across the finish line. And now here is Whitchurch, the 22-year-old defender out of Princeton, selected in the Super Draft. Juliana Whitchurch stopped by Ben Lunt. At some point, you'd have to imagine that big 6'6" frame of Ben Lunt would come into play. He covers so much of that net. And it does show up there on LAFC's third attempt of the shootout. Both teams with a miss, and St. Louis a chance to pull ahead. Palmer Alt now. He stormed onto the scene following an impressive career at Indiana, the 2025 Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. Alt stutters and misses wide. Scally had guessed the right direction. There was a lot of pace behind that. And Alt pushes it wide of the near stick. Luke Goodman now, coming off a 4-year career at UC Davis, almost 6,000 minutes played at the Division I level. Looking to convert in this fourth round for LAFC. Goodman against Lunt, and it's stopped by Ben Lunt. Consecutive saves in the shootout for Big Ben Lunt, keeping St. Louis in it following the Alt miss. Ethan Scally made a save on St. Louis's second take from the spot. There was a miss on their fourth take. Zach Lillington now, the 7th overall pick in the Super Draft. A former collegiate teammate of Luke Goodman, looking to put St. Louis in front. Lillington scores! The back-to-back all Big West selection. Zach Lillington not missing that opportunity. And the onus now on LAFC. And Sebastian Nava must score to send this into the sudden death round of the shootout. Back-to-back saves for Lunt. Nava has converted both of his attempts in shootouts this season against Monarchs and Tacoma Defiance, looking to make it a third. Nava scores, and we will head to the sudden death round of the penalty shootout. Ben Lunt unable to make it. 3 consecutive saves to ice it for St. Louis. That put high, and on the opposite side, by the 23-year-old former Portland Pilot, now in his second season with LAFC. Cooper Forcellini came on in the second half as a substitute, 43rd overall pick out of Xavier. He scores on Ethan Scally. And now again, LAFC in a situation where they must score to keep things going. Brian Moyato, the 20-year-old, coming off a 2025 where he played a career-high 1,312 minutes. An early change in the first half by Fabian Sandoval and company. Must score to give LAFC life. Lunt with 2 saves already. And he misses high. It's all over in St. Louis. Had he put that on the target, Moyato likely would have beat Ben Lunt. And instead, St. Louis rally from a second half deficit to capture 2 of a possible 3 points on this Sunday afternoon. An impressive effort for St. Louis and an impressive effort from today's man of the match, presented by Adidas. Cooper Forcellini getting the honors, scoring the match-winning penalty in the penalty shootout to clinch the valuable second point for St. Louis City 2 and helping them rally from a deficit in the second half. It's all over in St. Louis. For our entire broadcast crew, I'm Jake Griffith. Once again, our final 2-2 after regulation, and City 2 wins at 4-3 in penalties. Don't forget, you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLSNextPro.com. And One Football, good afternoon from Missouri.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.